welcome to a special message about the current status of Strangers on a Podcast. Some of you may have noticed that our regularly scheduled episode didn't happen today. And that being said, I have good news and bad news. For those of you that have paid attention or read the episode descriptions, you'll know that the conductor and I are from different areas of the U.S., different enough areas that we had to deal with a 3-hour time difference. Yeah, I know 3 hours doesn't seem like much, but when the person 3 hours behind is restricted to recording late at night, that means the other person is stuck at having to record in the wee hours of the morning. And our recording times meant that we wouldn't even start until it was about 1 a.m. for the conductor, with that late start time and each session lasting anywhere from like 2.5 to 3.5 hours, and sometimes even longer. It was pretty tough for him to begin with. That, in combination with his work schedule and just life in general, it just kind of became too hard for him, and he's had to step away from the podcast. What does that mean for the show, you might ask? Well, with the concept of Strangers on a Podcast being strangers coming together through their love of movies, it's difficult to really fulfill that concept alone. So, sadly, this means the end of Strangers on a Podcast. That's the bad news. Now, for the good news, even though Strangers on a Podcast is no more, we do have plans for new shows to replace it. Yes, you heard that right. We. While the conductor and I may not have been the only strangers, Kana and Helly were strangers to him, not me. So for me to do shows with them, I don't feel it's right to still use the same podcast name. While we could have kept the name and figured that, we're still strangers to you, the listeners, and we're still talking about movies to bring listeners together as one large family of movie-loving strangers, it just didn't feel right. However, Kana and I are currently working on getting things ready to release a new podcast together. Helly and I are working on some ideas, and I'm working on a few ideas of my own. I don't know how many of these ideas will actually come to fruition, but until then, Strangers on a Podcast will be where I post updates on the progress of the various upcoming projects. I'll do my best to give a weekly progress report until we have a replacement show for this little social experiment I worked so hard on. In the meantime, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram, where I welcome you to come and chat about my nightly movie picks or give me recommendations on what to watch next. As always, I'll include the links in the description to my Twitter and Instagram and all that good stuff. And again, I'm sad to say Strangers on a Podcast is no more, but I am looking forward to what's coming in the near future. And on that note, bye for now, folks.